Good evening. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm your host, Adam Wright, along with co-host Justin Tucker and CJ Medeiros. So we have a lot that has gone on in the past week, a lot to talk about, so buckle up. We have Odell Beckham Jr., who is shopping for a new team after being placed on waivers. Aaron Rodgers he missed a game with COVID-19. Of course, we have the game of the week coming up and the fan box segment, of course, discussing our mid-season MVP. But first, we're going to talk about how week 9 was a week filled with shocking upsets. Now, the Buffalo Bills, who have been one of the better teams in the league this year, regarded as a Super Bowl contender, lost to the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars. The Broncos, who have been so-so. They had a hot start, but they've cooled off since then. They crushed the Dallas Cowboys, who are another Super Bowl candidate, who have been winning games left and right since they lost the opener to the defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then, of course, the Falcons. They did beat the Saints, who are 6-2, 5-2 right now. They have been good. Their record doesn't really reflect how they have been, or how they are as a team, but certainly an upset to say the least. So, guys, I'll start with you, Justin. Which upset shocked you the most?
The one that got me the most was the Jaguars and the Bills one. I looked at the Atlanta one and the Saints one, and to me, that one wasn't really too shocking considering the role that Atlanta was on at the moment in time, because they just got off, I believe, the Dolphins, and I'm forgetting the other team, so it's not like they couldn't win some games here. But I don't know what's going on with Buffalo right now. They just look like they're struggling offensively. Josh Allen's not looking like the quarterback he should be in the MVP conversation. They have no running game. Stephon Diggs isn't getting the ball enough. It's like, I don't know what's going on, and to make things worse, Josh Allen got sacked by another person named Josh Allen. So, and you lost to Jacksonville, and it wasn't like they just showed up and whooped your defense. The defense only gave up 9 points, 3 field goals, and you guys only got 6 points. Does anybody else see the problem here? They're supposed to be like one of the best teams in the AFC, and this is the best you can give me? 9 points against the worst team in the AFC? I don't know what's going on with Buffalo, man.
They scored 6 points. Buffalo scored 6 points.
Yeah, 6.
Jacksonville scored 9.
Jacksonville gave me 9. Buffalo gave Buffalo gave them 6, which is embarrassing to say the least.
It was it's not just shocking in the sense that one of the worst teams in the league beat the best teams in the league. It was also the score. Like the fact that you guys these two teams combined for only 15 points, which is like that'd be a low scoring game if each team scored around 15 points. But they combined for that much. And like it's one of the better teams in the league scored only 6. It was really just unbelievable.
This is just one of those games where I don't know what to think. Josh Allen was not the superior Josh Allen of the day. Instead, that goes to the other Josh Allen, if you know. That's the Jacksonville one. And it's just, how do you lose to the Jaguars? Pray tell. James Robinson is hurt. They're relying on Carlos Hyde. Their defense is a tire fire that couldn't stop a light breeze. And on top of that, the locker room doesn't even respect their head coach, which is the Gruden Urban Meyer.
Nor should they.
Yeah, amen. But and then you go up, and this is a cakewalk, or at least it should be. And not only did Jacksonville make this a game, they won.
They freaking won.
Yeah. Look, I know any given Sunday, but to be hailed as a possible Super Bowl contender to then let Jacksonville beat you in like a very greasy defensive slugfest. Look, my point is, if Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders can get locked down by the Jaguars defense, you have problems. And I feel like a lot of it stems from the fact Buffalo has no running game to speak of. Zach Moss is not a number one back. Devin Singletary is not a number one back. If Buffalo gets their bell cow, I feel like their offense would be better. But right now, they're really one-dimensional in the sense that all they do is like pass, 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 pass. And if you lock down Diggs, he's got old man Sanders to throw to, and I don't even know who else. Cole Beasley,
Cole Beasley.
Oh yeah,
he's probably the number. He's probably the number 2, I would say.
Oh yeah, but what has he done this season?
Cole Beasley. He's been off to a slow start, but he's a very good receiver, and I think players.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, what have you done for me lately, Cole Beasley? I'll tell you what. He's done jack and squat.
Yeah. So with that being said, CJ, which of these games was your which one of these games actually shocked you the most?
That's an easy one. That's the Broncos beat the Cowboys. Now look, to say Denver is a scrub team is not true. But to say the Cowboys are a good team is an understatement. The Cowboys are easily going to win the NFC East, and they're possibly going to be Super Bowl contenders. They have an elite offense with Dak, Zeke, Amari, and CeeDee Lamb. And yet, heck, throw in Dalton Schultz, because why not? Because he's actually pretty good. And then you put up 16 points against the Broncos, and your defense, which is supposed to turn a corner with guys like Leighton Vander Esch and Trayvon Diggs, you give up 30 points? 30? I don't know.
Trayvon Diggs,
Teddy checkdowns there for Denver absolutely toasted them.
And he wasn't even throwing checkdowns.
Exactly.
That defense.
That's the scary
part. Trayvon Diggs was making that. Trayvon Diggs was making that Teddy Bridgewater to Tim Patrick connection look like Brady to Randy Moss. It was that
exactly.
Bad.
It's just I don't know. Now look, we all know that every year the good teams always have a few games that they just have no business losing, but that's just flat out alarming. That just goes to show you, outside of Trayvon Diggs, who got toasted in that game, really no one else on this Cowboys defense is going to lock you down. So if you can figure out Trayvon Diggs, you can just have anything you want.
And it kind of feels like Trayvon Diggs has kind of been figured out in recent weeks. I mean, I have no stats really to back it up, but if you look at what has happened in the past few weeks, just watching him get toasted by Kendrick Bourne about 2 weeks ago. Watching him get toasted by what's his name, Tim Patrick this past week. You know, he's racked up the turnovers, but he's still getting burned nonetheless.
Yeah. MUC, he has 7 picks so far on the season, and we can get dazzled by his interception totals, but he's given up a lot of yards and he's given up a lot of touchdowns. He's very inconsistent in the sense that he's either going to lock you down or you can have anything you want on him. There's no in between. And for like the past 2 games, Denver and Minnesota, he has not recorded a takeaway. He had a takeaway, at least one takeaway in every game up until then. And his tackle numbers have also gone down. Like his stats, I Googled it, they're just dropping across the board. And the only stats that are increasing are the amount of yards he's given up.
Right. You know, it's just, I mean, they're still pulling out victories, but it's not looking good for that secondary, and that defense will probably end up being the end all be all for them, regardless of whether they go really deep in the playoffs or if they end up being the same old Cowboys that our co-host here, Justin, has been saying all season long, where they're just going to fall apart because they're the Cowboys, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I have been
every single year. We them boys. And then they have games like this where they don't score until the fourth quarter, which means it's garbage time.
And it turns out they're not dem boys. Pretty much every year. And I have been saying all season long and before the season, if this defense is good, they're a playoff team. And that might have changed into and sort of transformed into they're now a Super Bowl contender if their defense is turned around like we think it is. I told you that offense is elite, which it has been all season long. I told you that if that defense turns it around, that they are going to be in the mix. And they really have been, and they've been among the favorites to win the Super Bowl so far this year. But if that falls apart, then they just turn into the Dallas Cowboys of last year before Dak got hurt, where, they're winning, they're scoring a ton of points, but they're also allowing a ton of points, and they're losing games because of it. But anyways, what I have, so obviously out of these three games, those two that we just discussed, those are the most shocking upsets. I mean, worst team beating the best team. But just because we want to discuss all of the games, let's discuss this Saints Falcons game, which was pretty ugly on behalf of the New Orleans Saints. I mean, I get it. They're down to their third string quarterback. I mean, what do you even call Trevor Siemian? Because it feels like Taysom Hill isn't even a backup. Like, they won't even use him. He's available, but he's also not. They kind of use him as a wildcat in their offense. But, this defense is supposed to be really good for the Saints, but they gave up 343 yards Matt Ryan's a solid quarterback, but who is he throwing to? His top target is in the receiving game is probably Russell Gage. And Kyle Pitts is too young to be making such an impact that he did with 3 receptions for 62 yards. So, I mean, it's not much of an upset because, I mean, they're working with Trevor Siemian, who did play well, granted, but, come on. The defense cannot be giving up 27 points to the Atlanta Falcons, who are running out of weapons by the month, to be honest. No Calvin Ridley. They traded away Julio Jones. They haven't had that one guy in their rushing game. Don't tell me about Cordell Patterson. Most of his production has come from the receiving game. But I mean, come on. It's just the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have this division in the bag, to be honest.
Apparently they can't beat the Saints.
Hey, they didn't beat the Saints in the regular season last year either, and look what happened.
So let's not say it's in the bag. Let's not say that.
The division's in the bag. I
Apparently
promise
not
you
if they
that.
can't beat the Saints.
They couldn't beat the Saints last year, and yet
they couldn't beat them last week either.
Okay.
Tom Brady likes to throw picks against the Saints. I don't know why, but he likes to do it in the regular season.
Upsets happen. This is like we devoted this entire segment to that.
That's not an upset. That's just standard how it goes.
It's clearly not if they lost to them in the postseason.
Again, 3-1 right now, and I'm pretty sure the Saints want to face them again.
And that one is pretty damn important, isn't it?
Yeah,
they won when it matters.
Important. Yeah, that's fair. All right, but look,
so was last week.
Oh,
what were you saying, CJ?
I just want to give this quote to you from Cordell Patterson on the Atlanta Falcons because, the Saints had pretty much had to get their rearing gear in the second half. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. These are the Falcons. So they started coming back, and they still lost. And, the Falcons almost falconed again. And Cordell Patterson says, and I quote, "We've got to stop giving people heart attacks." No, that's just the Atlanta way.
See, I mean, I don't even think this Falcons team is really. They're 4-4, and it's one of those. It's a good 4-4 where it's like this team is overachieving and playing past what they are supposed to be. They barely lost to the Panthers, and with this win they could have ended up being what is that 4-3. If they actually beat the Panthers. So, it's not one of the like, I mean, I get it, but you should still be, I don't know. Just be glad you're winning, Cordero. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just, and the Saints, I don't know. I feel like this offseason they're definitely going to be trying for a quarterback because Jameis, he's either going to light you up or he's going to bake you up some turnovers. There's no in between. You're either getting like 4 touchdown Jameis or you're getting 4 picks Jameis. That's just how he is. Taysom, they don't even want to use. And also, as a gadget player, who knows how much longer Taysom is left because he's like 30 or 31. Dude's like way older than you think he is. And and Trevor Siemian is your starter now. I mean, New Orleans, if they want to have a prayer being competitive next season, just already look ahead to next season because despite the fact they beat Tampa, I do think this division's in the bag. I can see how it wouldn't be, but I mean, I don't see anyone dethroning Tampa as it sits now. But they just need a quarterback. They're literally, like so many teams, one quarterback away from being a playoff team. Because, I mean, their defense is nothing to sneeze at. They have guys like Cam Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore in their offense. We got Michael Thomas back next season. They have Alvin Kamara, Marquez Callaway. But your quarterbacks are just not good.
So 24-6, Atlanta had a lead over the New Orleans Saints with about 10 and a half minutes left to play. And 3 straight scores put about a minute left, put the Saints up by 1 point at one point. And then the Falcons drove down the field, 5 plays, 64 yards with time expiring. Young-Ho Koo, the man, the myth, the legend, hits the 29-yard walk-off field goal to win the game. So the Falcons did almost Falcon the game in the most, Falcon way possible. But this is one of it's just for the Falcons, just be glad they're winning. We talked about them a couple of weeks ago when they were on the game, when they were the game of the week. And they were the team where we were like, well, I mean, they're technically in the race, but I don't have any faith in them. I still kind of don't. And we also looked at their schedule. Their schedule is brutal coming up. And the Saints were just the beginning. They have the Bills coming up, I believe, next week. And the only games that we have that they could win are winnable games. There's no slam dunks for them, which tells you how much faith we should really be having in this Falcons team. But anyways, we're going to move on. And next up, Odell Beckham Jr. has been released after all of that criticism that his father gave the Browns quarterback, and he is shopping for new teams. He has it reportedly narrowed down to 3 different teams. We're going to discuss that next. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. Welcome back. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm Adam Wright with Justin Tucker and CJ Medeiros. We're talking about some Week 9 action, and Odell Beckham Jr. this past week, just after we recorded our last episode, was released, and he passed through waivers after his father was criticizing the Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield, making him a free agent. And according to a report by ESPN's Diana Rossini, he's reportedly honing in on the Chiefs, Packers, and the Saints. So this doesn't mean that these are the teams that he's going to, because we've seen reports like this before where we think a team is it's going to be one of like a select 3 teams, and he goes somewhere else. So which team do you guys believe? Because, I mean, whichever team he ends up going to, who the hell knows? But which team do you believe is the best fit for Odell Beckham, and what kind of impact will he have?
You want me to start it off?
Yep. Lead us
All
off.
right. The easiest thing for me to see him on is the Packers because I could see Devontae Adams being the intermediate threat and then Odell Beckham stretching the ball deep down the field and just being a monster to deal with in the open field. When you actually watch the way he was playing it against the Browns, it's not like he was covered. He was wide open for some of those passes that Baker Mayfield just didn't throw to him. So I was like, instead of Baker Mayfield, who obviously there was a connection issue with, give Aaron Rodgers the weapon he's been asking for like 3 years now. For 3 years, he's been asking for like another like another true number one receiver. You give him Odell, they're making it at minimum to the NFC Championship game. Because look at what he's been doing with just Devontae Adams. And if you give him Odell Beckham, they are dangerous, especially if Odell Beckham can catch up to speed with the Packers playbook.
Yeah, honestly, Justin, I do agree that of the three mentioned teams, Green Bay is probably his best bet because Kansas City just, I don't know. They don't need more offense. They need a defense that, actually does things. And why would he go to the Saints if he says he wants to go to a contender? And I've also heard the Seahawks getting thrown around a lot, which I don't know why, because at best he's going to be wide receiver 3 there. And this supposed diva, pardon my French, because I personally don't think he is, but it's whatever. And this diva, who apparently wants the ball every play, wouldn't last in a team where he would be wide receiver 3. Now, I would like to point out, as a Patriots fan, I must say that this is per Adam Schefter and Jordan Schultz, that Odell Beckham Jr. update here. Pats are making a, quote, strong push to sign OBJ, source says. Belichick apparently wants Odell badly, and the two have immense respect for each other. I mean, I personally don't think it's going to happen, but, I mean, it'd be cool. But long story short, I do think Green Bay is his best bet if he actually wants to go to a contender, So yeah, just do with that what you will. I think it's Green Bay or New England, because if he signs a multi-year deal, he can help with the offense, after this season. So I honestly am kind of torn. I mean, as a Pats fan, I want him to go here because I think he can help a lot. But if he wants to win now, I would probably say go to Green Bay.
So I would agree with Justin on Green Bay, but I don't because I want to pick a different possibility just to be creative like that. But I think, damn, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I think that's a good fit for them. They need some passing options, and their rushing game has taken a huge hit during this season, especially in the preseason. And they've actually gotten a lot better this year with their receiving game. So honestly, at this point, maximize what you're good at. Let Lamar throw. Let's see what he's about. We've heard a lot of Ravens fans. I've heard from one Ravens fan in particular. He's annoying as hell about how, well, if you gave Lamar Jackson some weapons, then he could really light it up, and then it'll be like Russell Wilson. So I say, let's let him prove it, and if it doesn't work out, then I could hold this against him for the rest of Lamar's career and be like, see, he's nothing but a running back.
And listen here. Number one, we're not going to have that talk tonight because if he actually does pull it off with Odell Beckham, you won't want to speak to me for a week. That's number one. Number two, we can't get him because it's one thing if we traded for him and had the Browns pay for most of the salary, but it's not. They let him go, and if we pick him up, we would have to pay like $7 million, and we don't have that. And as much as I want to get him, we're kind of crowded as it is because Marquis Hollywood Brown is actually playing well. He has over like 682 yards and I want to say 6 touchdowns. So
I'm
it's not
pretty
like he's
sure.
playing bad.
Hang on. I'm pretty sure his contract restructured when he was being released. They were working out something, and also if he becomes a free agent, like, just bear with me here, just from my understanding, if he becomes a free agent, then isn't he free of his contract, and now he's straight up a free agent.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, CJ.
You don't need to mute.
You don't need to mute yourself, CJ. You're good. Don't worry about it. As long as, I mean, if people are being loud in the background and you're not talking, then that's a rare occasion. But just keep yourself on.
Yeah, fair enough. Also, that's why I was, but that's neither here nor there. But second, I was just saying that Odell, you don't have to pay him the $7 million if you sign him because Green Bay offered him the veterans minimum.
Yeah, so it seems like the market's very low for him at this point, which means that Baltimore is a possibility for OBJ if he wants to go there. And that team is, what are they, 6-2 right now? So that is a contender with a good quarterback, and he might be arguably the number one option on that team. So that is, I mean, I'm curious to see what Lamar is like when in a pass first offense versus a rush first, which is what he's been working with his entire career.
You know, I would like to float an idea. I am not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it makes sense and it'd be pretty neat. The Vegas Raiders. You no longer have Henry Ruggs because he was a moron and got himself arrested. Your top two receivers are currently Hunter Renfrow and Braylon Edwards. And you have Darren Waller. That's good for you. But if you want a true number one, I would sign Odell because Carr has shown that he's not terrible when he has weapons. And, Josh Jacobs is decent. The offensive line's getting there. So why not, like, Raiders, if you actually fancy yourself a contender, if you actually think you can, make the playoffs, then why not give a certified playoff push and get OBJ? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's not the most outlandish possibility.
If he wants to go to a contender, then I'm not sure if the Raiders are a great option.
Oh, no. I agree. But if the Raiders want to be a contender, I would give Odell a look.
Sure. I'd love to see him there. It's not the sexiest of options. I mean, I'd love to see the Ravens or Green Bays or the Patriots of the world. I mean, that's only sexy for us as Patriots fans, CJ. But, that's what I'd like to see. But I mean, the Raiders do make sense, and the Saints too. Before Jameis Winston tore his ACL, now it's just Trevor Siemian, and it's not to crap all over Trevor Siemian, but I mean, he's no Jameis Winston or Drew Brees.
Yeah, that's fair.
But anyways, we are going to move on, and we're going to go into the Fumblerooski game of the week. And speaking of the Ravens, who we just spoke about, they were involved in this game. So stay tuned. We'll talk about this game. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm Adam Wright, along with CJ Medeiros and Justin Tucker. I said that a little bit out of order. Usually I say Justin Tucker first, then CJ, but we're going to roll with it. But we are on to our game of the week. So this is week 9. So just to clarify as well, we go through the game of the week. We do exclusively for Sunday games because there's just so many games that we just want to pick one of the best games there to sort of summarize. And if Sunday night football or Thursday night football if Monday night football or Thursday night football, if that was a great game, then we'll go over that as well. But I feel like just that's something that we need that we wanted to do. So, anyways, our game of the week for week 9 was Ravens-Vikings. And so this was a very entertaining game. So the Vikings, they led for just about most of the game, at one point taking a 24-10 lead as late as halfway through the third quarter. But from there, the Ravens rallied with 3 straight touchdown scores to take a 31-24 lead with about 3 minutes left to play. From then on, the Vikings, they responded with a game-tying score of their own to wide receiver Adam Thielen with just 1 minute left. From there, the Ravens drove down the field and into field goal position. Justin Tucker, not to be confused with the famous co-host of the Fumblerooski podcast, kicker Justin Tucker hits the game-winning field goal with seconds left. The Ravens go on to win the game 34-31. So, Justin, I'll start with the Ravens fan. What are your thoughts on this game?
Despite my offense being crappy in the first half, despite my defense being Swiss cheese for most of this season, despite my running core being in shambles right now, despite we have $62 million worth of people on IR, and despite Lamar Jackson throwing 2 picks, one of them not his fault, but still 2 picks, the Ravens come away with this victory because of one man, and his name is Lamar Jackson. Say it with me now. He is the MVP of this season.
He threw 2 picks early on, too. He threw 2 picks early on, too.
He did not throw 2 picks early on. He threw 1 early on, and one of them was in overtime because the running back didn't make the block, and Anthony Barr tipped it up and caught it himself. Despite all of that,
I won't care. That was not Lamar's fault.
That man out-threw Kirk Cousins, and he outran Dalvin Cook. You know how hard that is to do.
Did he outrun Dalvin Cook?
Yes, he outran Dalvin Cook.
I'm reasonably sure he did.
That man had over almost 400 yards of total offense, and you're trying to tell me Dak Prescott and Josh Allen are ahead of him for MVP honors? Absolutely not. Hell to the no. The only person I believe is somewhat in the conversation with Lamar that is close is Tom Brady. Anybody else can come see me. No. Matt Stafford just lost to the damn Titans.
I'll come see you tonight when we take our post show McDonald's run and tell you that you're on crack if you think Lamar Jackson is ahead of Tom Brady in the MVP race.
Tom Brady didn't play. He was on a bye, and Lamar Jackson did. So I don't see a reason why I can't assume that. And the last time Tom Brady played, he lost to the Saints, and I'm not letting you live that down. That man threw a pick when it was time for him to shine. And you're trying to tell me Lamar Jackson ain't number 1? I will have none of it. Okay.
Your quarterback lost to the Cincinnati Bengals,
who were the number 1 seed. Now that they had their little Super Bowl, and now they're back in where they belong.
Not anymore.
They're the division.
They're like 5-3 now. 5-3, 5-4.
5-4. Now they're back in the division. I don't want to hear none of that. They had their little Super Bowl beating us, when for some reason my defense just doesn't want to play defense most of the time for some reason. But that's neither here or there.
Well, how about this? The Buccaneers had the Saints had their little Super Bowl beating the Buccaneers in that one game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your point is?
My point is Tom Brady is ahead of Lamar Jackson in the MVP race.
I'm sorry, what are the Buccaneers' record?
6-2.
What are the Ravens' record?
6-2.
All right, I will have none of that. Okay. Same record. Less people on IR, and we still have the same record as the Buccaneers. That's all I'm saying. Lamar Jackson is the MVP because he is working with less than anybody else in the league. When the Ravens win, it has to be because of this man, because we can win no other way. That's it.
How many touchdown passes does Lamar Jackson have to this point of the season?
You know what? I'll look it up. Let me be
13. 13. 13.
13?
no.
It was I was hoping
Trick
Justin
question.
would already know.
Damn it.
No.
Well, Lamar
How
is
many-
2,209 yards, 13 touchdowns, 7 picks, and a QBR of 96.2.
And
How
you
many
talk
rushing
about
touchdowns does he have?
2.
Okay, so it's
2?
15
That's-
total touchdowns.
And
2
Tom
touchdowns.
Brady currently has, holy crap,
Yep.
2,650 yards, 25 touchdowns, 5 picks, and a passer rating of 108.6. These children are our numbers for tonight.
Tom
Okay.
Brady, the league leader in touchdown passes and yards. Sorry,
And he's throwing less picks.
Matthew Stafford has him by about 50 yards, but that's it.
Okay.
And he's
He's got a
doing it
better
at age
passer.
44 in one of the most dysfunctional places to play in the entire league, in Tampa. I don't care how much talent you have. To be able to take that team and win a Super Bowl and then go back and be a leading MVP candidate at age 44, I'm sorry. End of discussion. We'll talk about this
End of
later.
discussion.
This
Hold
is
on. AB, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans, playoff Lenny, like you guys keep calling him, Ronald
Right.
Jones, that O-line, and that defense, and you're trying to tell me
All right, let's not talk about AB as if he's the same player as he was back when he was.
seeing him as of late. He still looks like it.
I haven't seen him as of late because he hasn't been playing.
When he is playing, he's playing like it. That's my point.
Because he's old.
Mike Evans is still playing like it. Chris
Rob
Godwin is still
Gronkowski
playing like
has
it.
been out. And I love Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Let's get one thing straight here. You can make a case neither of those guys are top 10 wide receivers in this league.
Oh,
what?
My God.
Okay.
You are stretching
No,
it. You are
man.
stretching it now.
No, dude, I have to
We are
admit.
not about to lie to the American people. I don't care if it's Chris Godwin
you can
or
make
Mike
a
Evans.
case that Godwin isn't, but Mike Evans certainly is. Yeah.
You can. I don't think so. To be honest, he gets hurt too often.
We're not going to do this now because I'm not about to put you on the spot. About 10 other guys you would put above Mike Evans because we don't have.
I kind of want to hear.
But you are ridiculous if you think there's 10 other guys better than Mike Evans. As a matter of fact, there aren't 7 guys better than Mike Evans.
No, I mean, well, we can go over our rankings at another time, but I could easily find 10.
No, you can't. No, you can't. I promise.
Bro, I won't lie.
Let me rephrase that. I can find 10. It'll be hard because he is a great wide receiver, but you can make a case.
It'll be a terrible case. That's my point.
If he's not 10, he's 11.
Mike Evans is.
He'd be a low end top 10 if he were top 10.
Yeah, but low end top 10 is still top 10.
Tom Brady has worked with better wide receivers than Mike Evans. We'll put
You're
it that way.
proving my point. You are proving my point. Lamar hasn't had that opportunity, and he's
still
44
putting up
these numbers. He's still putting up these numbers. He is top 10 in passing and top 6 in rushing, and you're just poo-pooing these numbers.
He'll be out of the league at age 44. Probably probably at least 10 years ago.
Stop it.
10 years.
Stop it. I'm not having this. I'm not having
this. Well, does anyone remember what we were talking about? Oh, yeah, the game of the week, right?
We were talking about the game. We were talking about the game of the week. But, I mean,
this was a
certainly
fun detour, but
I think that certainly ties into it. I mean, he did have an MVP caliber performance, Lamar Jackson.
400 yards of total offense by Lamar himself. And you're trying to tell me he's not the MVP? When the Ravens win, it's because of that man. There is no other reason why he shouldn't be the MVP. And I was having a heart attack against that Vikings game because that game shouldn't have been close to begin with. My defense is looking worse and worse by the week. I don't know why.
That Vikings team isn't really that good to begin with.
Because the Dolphins suck. They don't even know who their quarterback is right now.
Yeah, that's funny.
That Vikings team really isn't that good to begin with. They have some talent, but they've always been known to underachieve. So, I mean, it's a good win for them.
They don't have any corners, at all. Their corners are just a bunch of burnt toast and pylons you run by.
It's all offense and no defense. And their offense is led by a mediocre quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Sorry, I don't like Kirk Cousins. I've never liked Kirk Cousins. Oh,
please. Kirk Cousins is only mediocre at, his very best. I mean, Look at all the weapons he has, like Thielen and Cook and Irv Smith and Chris Herndon and my man Jay Jettas. But no, no. And yet still he can't take the Vikings anywhere into the postseason. It's like, I hate Kirk Cousins.
All right, here we go. We're gonna we can talk about this all day long about our debate between Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady. But anyways, we're going to move on, and there has been a big controversy going on with the Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who tested positive for COVID. A lot of little details, and it looks like it's turning into yet another soap opera in Green Bay between them and their quarterback. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. Welcome back. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm Adam Wright with CJ and Justin. Oh, I did it again. But another little bit of drama going on with the Green Bay Packers quarterback who's getting into it with his organization over the offseason. Plenty of rumors swirling around then. And now there's some stuff going on now. Except this time he tested positive for COVID, and it turns out he's unvaccinated, so he had to miss the game against the Chiefs. And apparently he told the team that he got vaccinated. He said he was, and I quote, immunized. And actually it turns out he just said that he was immunized, and the team just didn't they just took their word for it and then went along with it. And Jordan Love came in. He could not pull the victory. And so I'll ask a little follow-up about Jordan Love in a minute. But for now, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers lying about being vaccinated? We'll start with you, CJ.
All right. I'm going to be as simple as I possibly can. I think Aaron Rodgers should be suspended. And the Packers have already been fined $300,000 for this, for literally just taking his word for it and not checking. Rodgers knew he had to be vaccinated, and he said he was immunized, which we now know isn't true, and which means he should have been wearing masks on the sidelines. I personally disagree with the rule, but I'm just stating what the rules are. He should have been wearing a mask. He should have been doing all these other kinds of things, but he wasn't, and he was allowed to get away with it for so long. And I truly believe he should be suspended. But he won't be, because he's Aaron Rodgers. He's a star, big name QB. They're not going to suspend him. They won't suspend him if it was Brady or Russ or anyone else like that, or Lamar. But I guarantee you, if Aaron Rodgers was like a backup quarterback or like a second string receiver or somebody not of importance, I promise you they will bring the hammer down on him.
Yeah, I kind of agree. The way the rules are, he didn't follow them accordingly, and therefore something has to happen. I know he's been fined by the NFL, but it seems he needs to at least get a suspension, because it seems like he wasn't following the letter of the law, as in not wearing masks on the sideline, lying about him being vaccinated. So it just seems appropriate that at least a 1-game suspension should be given to Aaron Rodgers, and maybe a slap on the wrist, like, don't do this again. Either say you're vaccinated or you're not. And yeah.
This is just typical. This just feels like typical Aaron Rodgers, especially typical Aaron Rodgers recently, where he's doing stuff like this. And I'm not sure if he's somebody who, I wonder if this, I'm sitting here, I'm wondering if this is something that'll bring his value down. If he ever wants to hit the market or if he wants to get traded in the future. Where he's pulling stuff like this, he's being honest during his brutally honest during some press conferences during training camp, and he's having all these issues within the organization. I wonder if there's going to be an issue where people are like, I mean, I don't really want to be any part of this guy, or they might not give up as many assets to Green Bay as they would. I'm pretty sure there's a report floating around that San Francisco offered at one point offered three first round picks for him. At this point, I would have taken that if I was Green Bay. And this is what they have to deal with. He cost them a game, as we'll talk about a little bit with Jordan Love, but this is not good for neither Aaron Rodgers or the organization.
Yeah, I mean what else can I say? That's accurate. I mean, Rodgers honestly kind of. I really think he cost him that game against Kansas City, but we'll get into that.
He really did. But anyways, to follow up, what was your impression of Love in his debut?
Not ready.
They really spent a first-round pick on him, and after, what was this, like 2 seasons now, marinating behind Aaron Rodgers, he still isn't ready? Like, how much longer is this kid going to take? Is he ever going to be ready? It's like, I am... Maybe it's just because I'm not the world's biggest Packers fan, but I assure you, they should... And I was adamant at the time they drafted him. They should not have wasted their first-round pick on Jordan Love. And right now, it's looking like that. A waste.
I sure hope not. I'm rooting for that kid to be good so that they could drive Aaron Rodgers out of town, because I think Aaron Rodgers is becoming way too much of a diva now, and he's really holding that organization hostage. And but I mean, a lot of quarterbacks need a year or so, 1 to 3 years to sort of really be ready. We are now going on about a year and a half in the league. So it's okay that he's not ready, but I mean, if he's as good as we think he is, he should be getting close. And he really didn't seem close. It felt like he was just in there just to get reps, and he didn't really make much of an impact. The Chiefs only scored about, 13 points?
Yep.
So that should have given him plenty of opportunity to win the game, but he could only get 7. And he really it was just unimpressive what I saw from him. And I really hope that he can play well, but not a great first impression for Jordan Love. He just didn't seem ready for the big moment.
Yeah. I got nothing else to add. You hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah, it's just a very unfortunate situation right now. But they will make the playoffs because of that man. Because he is a bad man.
Which one? Jordan Love or
Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers. Because I was gonna say, yeah, they're not doing that. But I mean, he'll get them to the playoffs because he is a great quarterback.
Jordan Love is bad, all right. He's a very bad man.
In the words of the great Stephen A. Smith, the bad man was simply just bad.
Huh.
But anyways, we're going to move on to our final segment, which is the Fumblerooski Fan Box. So we're getting close to the end of our show, but we did save the best for last, and you did get a little taste of that MVP conversation between Justin and I, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm Adam Wright, along with co-host Justin Tucker and CJ Medeiros. And so we have reached the end of our show, and you know what that means. We are on to the Fumblerooski Fan Box. So what happens is we will post a question box every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more. And we will discuss it and give you a shout out on our podcast. Respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. So this week's Fumblerooski question of the week was, who is your MVP at this point in the season? So we are asking this we're about a little bit more than halfway through the season. It was around a quarter of the way when we asked this question, when we asked about your MVP, and everyone gave a lot of different answers. And now it's kind of been, besides a few crazy answers, it's kind of been narrowed down a little bit. So we'll go right into it. So CJ, our co-host, did respond, and he said Tom Brady.
Solid pick. Wrong, but solid.
Oh,
I agree.
I was almost heartwarmed there.
Well, it's the correct pick, but Patrick Williver, 22, said probably have to go with Scott Hansen. Nobody better on Sundays. So for those of you who don't know, that's the red zone, the NFL red zone guy, and I have to agree. But I've got to admit, I don't have NFL red zone, and that is something I should get, especially since I host a NFL podcast. But I mean, if somebody's coming in clutch like that, giving us 7 hours of uninterrupted football, I mean, man, you've got to go with that. After that, Patrick Costu said Brady. It's almost like he's a popular and logical pick, Justin.
Oh dear, don't start this.
After that, Sarah Finnemore said Mac Jones. Boy,
Just
I wish
no.
he was an MVP.
Absolutely. Maybe
I
of the
wish he was an
Patriots, but
MVP
not of the
candidate.
league.
I really wish.
If he was an MVP candidate and Tom Brady was also an MVP candidate, that would make for so many headlines. People would
play Brady.
ESPN would just be drooling over the thought of a Patriots-Buccaneers Super Bowl. Mac Jones versus Tom Brady. Oh my God, that would be incredible. It's too bad he's not an MVP candidate and he's a game manager right now. But Justin Tucker, our co-host, also responded to it, giving us, whoa, this is a shocker, Lamar Jackson.
I could have sworn he would have said Josh Allen. Huh? No, I'm kidding. But, I can see it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I see it,
Mm-hmm.
I see consideration. But what I see the most of is Tom Brady winning league MVP. And then after that, we have Tyson Tate, or his name is spelled with a TH. I don't know if it's Tyson or Tyson. Tyson. Let me know in the comments how you pronounce your name so that I could get it correct on the show. But he says not talked about enough, and he says in all caps, Aaron Donald would love to see a defensive player win it. So this is a quarterback dominant award where it's usually, you rarely see anybody else besides the quarterback win the league MVP. But if anybody's going to do it, it is Aaron Donald. I mean, that guy can play.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you want to go with a defensive MVP, I would say Myles Garrett definitely also deserves some love.
Yeah, but Aaron Donald's just a different beast.
All right, Ravens fan, we all know how you feel, but I mean, am I wrong? I mean, doesn't Garrett actually lead the league in sacks?
Yeah, I think he's at 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I mean, just give him some consideration, maybe a vote.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't consider him. I mean, Aaron Donald gets triple team now, so it's like he may not get the stats, but
he's still making an impact for sure.
Oh yeah,
Master Matt 1 says Tyreek Hill.
Let's just ignore that one. I'm not even going to dignify that one. Let's just move on.
I heard nothing. Continue.
I mean, he's certainly valuable. You have to give him that. Just
Yeah,
it's a quarterback-driven
Not
I don't know
even
offense.
the
what you're
best
talking about. I
receiver
don't know
in
what you're
this
talking
tier.
about.
Not even a top 3 receiver this season. Move along.
Jeez. Grayson Mortimer said, if he didn't get hurt, it was Henry.
You know what?
He'd
That's
get
valid.
consideration.
I mean, that's valid. I mean, I just wish Derrick Henry didn't get hurt. That's all.
He could have had 2,000 yards.
For a
Honest.
3-game stretch, he was putting the team on his back. Derrick Henry. I mean, they were winning games that they had no business winning with
It's kind of what Derrick
against these
Henry
teams.
does.
Right. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who, I mean, as time is going by, we're seeing that's not as big of a surprise. But they also beat the Buffalo Bills, and I'm forgetting the other team they beat. I don't have it off the top of my head right now. Let me look up the Titans schedule here. Let's keep talking. They beat the Seahawks, Jaguars, Chiefs. They beat the Colts. Yeah, that's the team I'm forgetting. The Colts. But that is a team, that is a team that's pretty competitive despite their record. But anyways, Cash Jurasin, and we got a bit of a kick out of this off camera before the show, but he says me.
Someone get him a contract, darn it.
Let's get this man a contract. I love the confidence, I'll say that much.
Yeah, let's see what he can do.
See what he can do. Put him up on that offense for Kansas City. He'd probably still do better than Patrick Mahomes right now.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's mean.
Just give it to him. He'll be fine.
He's having a down year, man. He's not doing that well.
I mean, by his standards, it's his standards. Of course he's having a down year.
But anyways, our former co-host, Brian Mucker, said Lamar Jackson. There's another Lamar Jackson.
The smartest thing he said. Way to go, Brian. You know you're right. You know I'm right.
Maybe he wouldn't be off the show if he wasn't making bad takes.
Wow.
If you were making more takes like this. But honestly, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve consideration, that it's like complete asinine that he deserves the league MVP. I just don't think he's going to win it. I think Tom Brady should have consideration over him, and I think Matthew Stafford should have better consideration over him. They are quarterbacking two of the best teams, and they're putting up the best stats.
Stafford over him?
I think Matthew Stafford, yeah.
Yeah, this is low key where I draw the line, but whatever. I mean, for me, Lamar's my number 2 beside Brady, but I don't know.
Last week's game that'll certainly put a damper on it because he didn't show up.
My guy, my second even before this week. So, I don't know. There's Matt Stafford, so it doesn't wow me, I guess.
He's had a great year. Matthew Stafford's had a great year.
When you factor in Lamar's running ability, that low key, for me at least, kind of cancels out Stafford. I just think Brady's the most efficient.
All right. Well, Mal the Golf Gal said Cooper Kupp.
He's the MVP of my fantasy.
Yeah. Honestly, a wide receiver or tight end or any form of pass catcher has never won MVP ever. And I think that's an atrocity. I'm not saying Cooper deserves to win. I'm just saying that it's just got to change.
I think the closest is co-MVP with Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
If it were to change, then Cooper Kupp would certainly get consideration. But the problem is he's not, and he's having an electric year. It's unheard of that halfway through the season a player has 1,000 yards. And we could see a real possibility of him reaching 2,000 yards as a receiver, which is incredible.
Who was the last one to do that? Has anyone ever done that?
I'll have to look that up. I know 2,000 yards. Let me look that up. You guys keep
Nobody as a
talking.
receiver has gotten 2,000. The closest was 1964 by Calvin. Cooper Cup is
Calvin
on that
Ridley. I was
pace.
gonna
Oh.
say. I was gonna say Calvin Ridley certainly got close, but
Ridley?
1964.
You mean Johnson?
Huh?
You mean
Sorry,
next one?
Calvin Johnson. Yeah, I messed that up.
Wow, the disrespect.
I misspoke. Sorry. All right, but anyways, what are your guys's? Actually, you guys already gave your.
Yeah, I already told you who
I
my
already
MVP
gave
is.
mine.
Yeah,
in
let's not
case we haven't.
open that can of worms again.
All right, we don't have to do this. Any other thoughts before we end the show here?
No, I think I'm good.
Nope, I have made all the points I need to make.
All right,
Lamar
well, in
Jackson's
that,
the MVP. That's it.
Tom Brady's the
Okay,
MVP.
that's something.
All right, well, in that case, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, Spreaker, and Google Podcast. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.
All right.